And I have been so committed to showcasing the people that I love because there are just one of the benefits, I would say, to awakening, to self-development, to all of it, of course, is having, prosperity in your business. Of course, your health gets better. Of course, all these things. But one of the side effects that have happened for me anyway is having extraordinary girlfriends in my life. People who are really up to making a difference in the world, women who are claiming their birthright of prosperity and touching millions of people's lives. And Elle Russ is this. She is an amazing, extraordinary woman. She has a book called Confident as F, as AF, as we say. She has two podcasts, the Primal Blueprint podcast, which I've been on, incredible, and Kick Ass Life podcast. And she is a TV film writer. She's also a best-selling author as well, and touches so many lives. Hi, Elle, how are you? I'm so glad to spend the morning with you.
I am so happy about this too. And I was just telling Erin before the show that because I'm a podcaster, I don't listen to many, but Soul Side, your podcast that you do every week, or actually sometimes daily, right, is so good. I always pick up the snippets, and I just love hearing your voice. And I feel like you're there with me. I'm getting like a private coaching session from you.
Right, so fun. So today I'm excited because you're an expert in really finding your confidence. And I think that if you take a look out there at a lot of the self-development teachers, a lot of them have confident courses. And I think the reason why is because people clearly desire to have confidence, because we know that without confidence, you can't take that jump, that leap out of your corporate job maybe or something like that. You can't have the confidence to write that book that you always wanted to write. You don't have the confidence to overcome your insecurities and feeling, spiraling into despair, which we know we've both experienced. You don't have that confidence to go out and, find, love or whatever it is that you're truly desiring. Why is confidence so important? What's your definition of confidence? And why do you think people want confidence so much?
So many psychologists, when you look up a variety of definitions of confidence, and we all kind of have our own interpretation of it, and some are a little skewed, and I want to clear that up. I would say that the overarching theme here is that it's really this overall belief that and faith that you will prevail. I mean, if we could just put a blanket over it. Now, some people who hear confidence, who might be quieter people, not as outspoken, can sometimes get offended by that word because they think there's this showy bravado to confidence. You and I can get on a stage in front of 50,000 people. That's not confidence, that's performance confidence, because you and I can both get off that stage and not speak up in a relationship, right? Or not be able to handle something else on a minor level. So that's performance confidence. That's not what I'm talking about, although I would argue that it's nice to have a little bit of it, to be able to speak up in a boardroom or the bedroom. You need confidence
The
everywhere. You're
boardroom
not
or the
going to
bedroom,
get.
I like that.
That's right. That's what I say. Because no one's a mind reader. You're not going to be able to get what you want unless you move forward with confidence. You also could have confidence in an ability. So you could have confidence in like your ability to do a thing, like let's say your job. You can have confidence in your knowledge about something. But that's not true confidence, because if you can't then get that message out there and you're feeling like you need to be sidelined or sideline yourself, then what good is that? So my definition of confident as F is inside and outside. It's all encompassing. Would you call the inside self-esteem? Sure, we could call it that, but I say confident as F is the goal, inside and outside. Now you can also be highly confident like me for a very long time in life, in every area of your life, but then you got some area over here that you're brushing under the rug that you think is not going to affect confidence in an area. And that's where you're going to fail and get your ass handed to you like I did. So you can be ultra confident like me, but you still might have areas, and they're going to seep into the rest of your life unless you fix them. So it should be everyone's ultimate goal to develop this. Now, I know that you believe the following, which is, it's kind of our birthright almost to be abundant, to be happy. It's the same with confidence. You see babies, they're like, no, like they have no shame and just, calling it
Right.
out. Where do we lose that along the way,
Right.
right?
Well,
We lose it
it
the wrong
almost
way.
like you're saying confidence versus ego is what I'm seeing, what you're saying. And I love your definition of confidence, because for me it's like it's really what faith is. It's really what is that that part of you that that you absolutely prevail because you are this, all powerful spiritual being. So confidence is really what you're saying. And what I'm hearing you say is that there's only one source and it's within. And it doesn't mean that it reflects out to being on stage or not on the stage or confidence, in whatever. It's like, there's this unshakable aspect of yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, and that relates to something else I talk about. Is like, how do you walk into a room? And so I had to tell a little story in the book where I had an esthetician who was giving me facials. And the reason I wrote the book is because often throughout my life, I've noticed a theme, and you have probably too, of people that you attract who need something from you. And obviously, there's symbiotic relationship. It's not like we're some oracle. There's benefits there. I noticed that everyone would come to me for confidence, whether they needed to go ask the boss for a raise, whether
Oh,
they needed to
really?
go stand up to a bully, and this was just always the case. Now, on the other side of that too, as an alpha female, and you and I, you've interviewed Tanya Stewart, my best
Hmm.
friend, who's the alpha coach. Alphas have pitfalls. Highly confident people have pitfalls, like not being able to be vulnerable, not being able to delegate, not being able to receive. So these are the things that I learned from these so-called not confident people, but they had other qualities that I needed to look at too, such as being diplomatic. So highly confident people are often very quick to speak. I know I've had to really rein myself back in, and that's the take a minute, right? Take a minute, sit back.
Hmm.
But back to the esthetician, I tracked it. I'm not surprised I tracked her in my life. She needed a lot of confidence. And she said to me one day when she was giving me a facial, she said, I thought about you the other day because I walk into like parties and places and I always feel like eyes are on me, or I feel I'm being judged. I'm insecure. And she goes, she goes, I was thinking, I bet Elle doesn't feel that way. I mean, how do you feel when you walk into a room? And without
Wow.
hesitation, almost instantly, I said, I walk into every room like I own the mother effer. Now, that's okay. That sounds cocky, and confidence isn't cockiness, but let me explain that. I don't walk into every room hoping that someone's going to ask me about my resume, or that I have to prove something to someone, or that I have to even appear funny, or that someone will like me. I don't care. I'm open to whatever. I'm open to standing in the corner and just being silent and people watching. I'm open to a conversation or not. I'm not there to prove, and I'm not there to care whether people are going to like me or not. And that's how I want everyone to feel, that wherever you go in the world, you feel like you own the place, right? Everyone's
Right.
comfortable in their own house, right? Like you own it.
That's
So
a great
that's the
question.
goal.
That's a great question to ponder. And I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking, okay, what do I feel like when I go in a room? And I realized I was like, oh, I go into the room thinking, I'm going to create this into existence. So what is my intention when I walk in this room? And what do I want to experience? And what value? Because it's really about how am I going to serve and how am I going to raise this vibration up when I walk in this room? I mean, it's like, that's interesting. It's a great question to ask.
And those are all positive, pro you, confident kind of intentions. They're coming
Hmm.
from a place of self esteem and wanting to help others versus you being like, do I look okay? Like,
Totally.
are people going to like
Totally.
me? Or trying to prove yourself. So that's not confidence either. When we see braggadocious people, that's not confidence. They're insecure.
Right.
Okay.
So let's talk about
Now
that, the
yeah.
Donner effect and the kind of the negative. Like what would be kind of some of the distinctions of what is not confident?
So through my book, so my book kind of takes you through a lot of stories in my life and also with coaching people and things that I've experienced as a way to relate. Have a degree in philosophy, and it always kind of bothered me back in the day. I was like, yeah, all of this stuff theoretical is great. How do we apply it? Like, give me a practical
Hmm.
example. Give me something real I can sink my teeth into in the real world here where I'm living. And so that's what I wanted to do, not give you tidy to-do lists and acronyms, but to basically say, there's a little story, and when you read it, you're going to go, oh yeah. So basically, the book is about going through your life and scraping the barnacles off that will lead you then to becoming and being, embodying confidence, not acting as if, being it, because acting as if is just pontificating confidence, and that's not true confidence. So one of those things is the downer effect. And so I just would throw out to everybody has been a downer, and you've been downered by somebody. And so
Oh,
why do
there's
these
nothing
thoughts matter?
worse. Like
There's
I've been
nothing worse.
slimed. Go away.
Exactly. And people in creative professions or entrepreneurial professions are going to get downered more by other people because it's not something that has benchmarks that we know of, like a lawyer. You become a lawyer, you know what you have to do to become partner, and everybody kind of knows this. So nobody questions your trajectory of your life. But when you're like, I want to be an opera singer, people are like, ooh, that's tough. It's going to be tough, right?
Hmm.
So being a downer, a simple one would be like, you're like, I want to start a new business. And then your friend's like, be careful, Dr. Erin, because
So
50% of,
is this kind of like what they say, that you are the sum total of the five people that you hang out with? That if you're with people that don't believe that they're like going to hold you energy, because I truly believe, and I know for
yes.
like it's a truth for me that we literally create people, places, and things into existence with our consciousness. So is that what the downer
Definitely.
effect? It's the opposite of that.
A little bit, but it's also like people have to realize when they're having these thoughts, because then you're really chumping in on other people's confidence. You know what I mean? And so we have to see how what we're thinking and feeling too. We don't like it when it happens to us, and this is like a variety of ways. Usually when you're downing someone, I'll just give a quick example. In the book that I gave, I have a friend who's in her 40s and she's never had health insurance. And I think that's crazy, because I grew up with this belief that you should have health insurance. You could slit your finger a little bit and then it'd be 80 grand. And, this is why most people get insurance. I'm not saying I'm right. That's just my belief system.
Hmm.
So I've always had it. So I was trying to convince her, like, this is crazy. You have to get health insurance. Like, this is insane. Something could happen. She's like, Elle, I don't have the same beliefs that you do about my health. I just don't. I had to accept that too. But we're having this conversation. I'm getting frustrated. I'm trying to be right. I'm trying to prove my point. I feel I'm right. We get off the phone and my first thought is, well, watch. She'll see. Something will happen. Okay. Record scratch. Now, everybody has had a thought like this. And when you have a thought that's anything like, yeah, good luck with that, or yeah, they'll be back in no time, or that kind of stuff, or good luck, well, they'll be crawling back on their hands and knees for that job. What you're really, oh, did I lose you?
Oh, I can see you.
Oh,
I can see you.
sorry.
You're
I
all
don't know what
good.
happened. Okay, am I here? Am I
Yep,
still
you
here?
can.
I
I can
can't see
totally
you.
see you. Just so you know, you're
Okay,
still on
great.
camera here. Hmm.
Okay, cool.
But
Sorry,
it's
I
hard
cannot.
when you can't see, because it's like you just don't have anything to connect to. So take your time if you want to put it back up.
That's
But
okay. Sorry about that.
I can
Flip up.
totally see you.
So that thought is, what is that thought? Yeah, right. Good luck with that. That's literally hoping someone else fails. Okay, you're
Hmm.
hoping for someone else's failure. In order for me to be right, in my little comment about that, my little head comment about there, what was the tip off? The tip off was I didn't feel good after the conversation. I was in a state where I really thought I was right and she was wrong. That is always the case for you to examine and go, hold on a minute, what's going on here? And if you are starting to feel like you need to be right, or good luck, haha, they'll never make it,
Hmm.
you're jumping on other people's confidence. It's going to come back to you. But aside from that, you're lowering your vibration.
Right.
So we need to be more encouraging. We need to hang out with those people. If you keep telling Sally
Hmm.
your miracle dreams and she's like, yeah, good luck with that, you've got to stop that. So we have to limit our association with downers, but we have to stop being them and
You know
thinking
what
that way.
changed my life? This conversation that you are talking about changed my life years ago, when I was in kind of a very dysfunctional relationship, and I kept making him wrong. And my mentor was brilliant, and he said, it's actually spiritually out of ethics for you to actually be in his life if you don't see the potential and the divinity of him. And I went, it was another record scratching right there. Like, what?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's me that's doing this, And it is. I truly believe it's our job. If I can't hold someone in my life as a miracle as they are, I don't deserve to be in their life. Not vice versa. I don't
And who
deserve to
would
be
want
in
a
their
friend
life.
that had the thought that I had? Who
Hmm.
would want a friend that thought that?
Yep.
Because what does that mean? That means my friend has to not only have a medical issue. Number one, do I want that? No. Number two, she has to have a medical issue that's going to screw her so much financially that my point about insurance is made. Do I want my friend to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because she slid her little finger on a nerve somewhere cutting a pumpkin? No, I don't. But that was the state that I was in. The sooner we get out of that, the sooner we recognize that, the better. Now, I have evolved friends. At the time, I called her up afterwards. I was like, I just had the worst thought about you. Like, I need to cancel this. So we all have these thoughts. Yeah, right. Good luck with that. Catch yourself. Confident people are not jealous and envious. And jealousy and envy is usually, well, jealousy especially is usually the person you're jealous of. You're kind of hoping they fail at the thing you're jealous of them for having. That is no way to live. So we have to be down with other people's confidence to
Hmm.
start with. And then I also want to give another example. Another part of my book is about getting rid of parental garbage. We all have stories that are imprinted on us. But even as an adult, you're going to have people come at you in life, whether it's a friend, and it could be a stranger. I had a stranger that came up to me and we're talking, and they're like, what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm a writer. And this was their response. They go, so are you like a real writer who makes money at it? Or do you like work at Starbucks but do something else? Now, in that moment, some people are like, "Oh, you should have pulled out your best-selling book." No, I am not going to defend in that scenario. That's a losing
Mm-hmm.
game for a confidence person. I also don't choose every battle, but I did choose this one. And I said to him, I said, "Well, that's really rude. Would you go up to a real estate agent and say, do you just have your license and make money, or do you make money selling houses, or do you like live at home?" And they were like, "Oh, well, that's totally different." I go, "No, it's not. It's rude." But
Mm,
my belief is that when people like you are negative naysaying my life, you lift me to greater heights. That's just my belief. So
totally.
thanks. And maybe they'll think twice later. It's not my job to please everybody, but I also wasn't going to go into motive. Well, yeah, actually, I've published a couple books and it's very successful. I mean, no. So that's people are going to come at you and project a lack of confidence onto you. What are you
Totally.
going to do about it? Accept the story or not? Same goes for this parental garbage. Here's a perfect example: the story of Brandon, in his 40s now, for decades, was a contractor working on all these jobs. Every single job, something went wrong that wasn't Brandon's fault, and he would get chastised and blamed for it in front of everybody. Now, they were like, I was like, why does this keep happening to you? Right? Doesn't happen to Mary Jo, me. What's going on? And we dug a little bit in the childhood. It took 2 minutes to get this story, which was that Brandon's dad was kind of a hothead, and something would happen, like Brandon the hammer would go missing, and the dad would blame Brandon for stealing it and rant and rave. And Brandon was like, I didn't take the hammer. Then his dad would find the hammer and never apologize. So, what did that do to Brandon? It made him always wrong with people in positions of authority. Very, very simple. He carried that into his work life. He expected
Mm-hmm.
that. We repeat patterns that are familiar to us, as you know, even though they're not healthy. So it just took a conversation with, like, okay, first of all, helping Brandon realize he didn't have to be wrong. You don't have to be wrong anymore, and that where this is coming from. And then the second was he was going to speak up. That's part of confidence. He was going to speak up and stand up for himself the next time this happened. Took a little preparation because he had to be prepared that he might be fired or lose the job and the money. So, if you've got a family to feed, you need to think about that. But it happened again, of course, and he spoke up. And my suggestion to him was this, and he said something to the effect of, "Hey, if you're not going to talk to me in a professional manner, I'm going to walk off this set right now."
Mm,
He did. You should. I wish I could have bottled the confidence, the
wow,
level of
right.
self-esteem
And
that
then you
Brandon had.
all, it's so,
So
I mean,
happy.
so true. I mean, and I think that it's not, like, I totally agree. And it's also like when I've been very confident, some of the most confident times has been where I don't really need to say anything. You know what I mean? Like, I just,
Confidence is
like,
also silent.
you
Sometimes
know?
the quietest person in the room who's at a party that everyone's like, "Oh, poor guy in the corner." No, not poor guy. That's one of my best friends who's just totally happy in himself, observing a crowd.
Right.
So confidence, there is, like you said, there's power in that too. It's, you got to choose your battles wisely, right? And that's a tenet of being a confident person. But back to Brandon for a second. What changed is that every single contract from there on out, you got rave reviews. Nothing went wrong. No one got yelled at. However, I always say this: when you've got a long standing thing that keeps happening, right? And you finally rise above and reach the challenge and speak up or whatever it is, you might get a tester from the universe that's like, "Did you
Right.
really learn that?" And so Brandon did get a tester. Brandon got a tester a few jobs after that. But for the most part, it was a totally different life and still is. Brandon works on a job and people email him and are like, "Thank you so much. That was amazing. Everything was great." What's the difference there? The common denominator was only Brandon and this parental garbage. So what kind of garbage, do you have going on over there? Some story that was projected onto you that's affecting your confidence in a thing. And so we got to look at that too. So we look at the downers, and then we go through the book and we sort of look at some of these other things
Hmm.
to sort of clean this all up to get to the point where you're like, yeah, this is me, because nobody cares more about you than you. You are the only one that is going to be able to propel yourself. And then, so the next one too is that I say a thing in my book called "Your victim application has been denied."
Hmm.
So if you're still blaming your parents for your lack of success or whatever it is, you need to parent yourself. So this is all about self-examining, getting rid of this garbage, and moving forward in confidence. And again, it's not about being a public speaker. Look, you need confidence as a stay-at-home mother. You are going to have maybe an uncomfortable conversation with one of your child's friends' mothers, right? Or that annoying woman at the PTA meeting. Whatever it is, you are going to need it in every area of your life. This is not just with business and public speaking and all that kind of stuff. And it's with friendships and relationships. I know very confident people that are fit. They're highly powered people in their careers, yet they can't even have a conversation with their neighbor because they're a people pleaser.
Right. So
That's not
true.
confidence.
Right. I
That's
know.
not confidence.
It's so fascinating, working with, all of these women, and we do, a lot of E4 trauma method and birth their truth. And this is really, I think, it's what I'm hearing of all of it. And I truly believe that the only confidence that can ever come is from, birthing the truth of who you are. It really is understanding and connecting to that part of yourself. And we have so many great, like, just so beautiful to watch people awaken to the confidence within. You talk also about overcoming shame and victim mentality for a minute.
Okay.
Hmm.
So are you going to let them win and be right? Now, it's not about proving them wrong, but it's what about, I call proving yourself awesome. Not if I can help it. Are you really going to let them be right? I have an example in the book. I heard a 50-year-old woman talk about, you could tell she was a little bit embarrassed about where she was in life. She was feeling insecure about her lack of success or whatever it was in her mind. And she kept blaming her mother. She's like, if my mother had just directed me when I was younger, she had just pushed me harder, I probably wouldn't be here now, da 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 da. And I said, okay, hold on a second. You're 50. So at what point in your life, what age were you when you kind of maybe realized your mom wasn't the best, or you wish you would have gotten more from her? Like, how old were you? She was like, I don't know, maybe I was like 30. I'm like, so you've had 20 freaking years? You've had
Wow.
20 freaking years
Hmm.
knowing that. Parent yourself.
Hmm.
Enough. So no one's going to do you, but she's letting her mother win. She's letting that whole story win. Right.
So
So
crazy, right?
it's just so
So
crazy. So
amazing.
again, these are the stories, like, you can't, being a victim. Now someone would say, I say, there's, no victims, only volunteers. Someone might say, hey, Elle, I didn't ask to be mugged on the subway last week. I didn't ask to get cancer. Well, I also didn't ask for a hand disability and hypothyroidism I had to overcome. Agree. Anyone can be a victim of a scenario, or not even a victim, but again, like you and I would probably see it as a wonderful challenge, something meant for your growth, right? Something that was brought to you as a gift. Other people see it in a different way. But at the end of the day, if you keep getting mugged on the subway and you keep getting health
Right.
problems, or, right? So I guess I would say to everyone, what do you not like about an area of your life? Health, this, career, whatever. What do you not like, or what keeps happening? What theme do you keep running into the same kind of
Hmm.
guy or the same kind of girl? And whatever that theme is, that's where you need to look, because that's you. That's all you. And it's one of these things. It's either downer stuff, it's parental garbage, it's victim. There's something in there for you to look at.
It's so
And
true.
then,
So you haven't here, I mean, obviously you've done so much stuff. And I think that one of the big questions when I think about you, I think about the lifestyle, because obviously your other book is on paleo. And obviously you work a lot with Primal Blueprint, and which is all about health and lifestyle and stuff, right? So I'm curious to know how your diet and lifestyle has built up your confidence, knowing that, of course, it's a decision in mind. It all begins within mind, all begins from the spiritual level. But how has that kind of kept like building up exponentially in your confidence?
one of the things I talk about in the Confident is book is I have a little chapter, a little snippet from Paleo Thyroid Solution, which is like, look, if you have a health issue of any kind, that's first and foremost, because it can affect your confidence. When you're hypothyroid, for example, you don't even have enough T3 in your brain for the neurotransmitters to be fired. You're fat, you're bloated, you've got symptoms, you can't think right. It takes you 3 hours to get out of the house. Listen, that is, of course, going to affect your confidence. It's going to be tougher to assess these things because things are off. So the first order of business is getting that back into balance. So I would say, hey, if you don't have energy all day and there's something off with you, you need to get on that, because, for example, being a carbohydrate dependent person who's having blood sugar drops all day, right? Like that, you're going to be moody, you're going to be hangry, there's going to be lack of mental focus. So those things will impede your confidence to some degree. And then also, too, are you feeling good in your own body? When we feel good
Hmm.
and healthy in our own bodies, we are going to be more confident. That's not just for dating and all that kind of stuff. That's just presenting yourself to the world. When I was miserable and decrepit and 60 pounds heavier and just a total mess of a human being when I was
60 pounds
hypothyroid.
heavier? That's
Yeah, and I'm
great.
5'2". I'm tiny.
I
So,
can't imagine you.
that's
Hmm.
awful. And that was working out every day. So I hated going out into the world. I put my hair in a bun, I wore sweatpants. Like, I
Mm.
mean, it just kept, every day I looked in the mirror, it was like, so that can be a stumbling block. So I say, hey, get your health together first. It will increase everyone's confidence on a million levels. And that includes just like the happy juice and the neurotransmitters and all the things that are firing right, because you're on your right paradigm for you. And of course, I always do suggest an ancestral Whole 30 type of paradigm, which is essentially like a higher fat, moderate protein, low carb paradigm.
Hmm.
And anyone can look into that and go to primalblueprint.com or Mark's Daily Apple, or you can get the paleo thyroid solution if you have an issue. But obviously, health, energy levels, levels of happiness, mental stamina, all of those things are so key to becoming confident.
So key. And I think it's
The where away
also
you able
like
to.
anyone listening in, just like I don't get into politics and I don't get into diet per se, because I'm a true believer that each person has their truth and we honor that for
Right.
sure. And for because Elle's found that this works for her, and of course there's
Whatever works for
science
you.
backing up, whatever, and there's science backing up the other one. So just want to get that disclosure out there for anybody that it's really, I think
Absolutely.
what Elle really is saying in all of this and what I'm hearing you say is it's really about finding your own truth and living your truth. That's why like live your truth is my greatest, mantra and the tagline for Dr. Erin, because it is everything. It's confidence. It's knowing what you need to eat, what you need for your body. You know what you need for the relationships. You know what you're worthy of in the realm of the contracts of whatever you're doing and all that. And I think I think that what you represent for me is definitely confidence in that you are one of the most giving people I've ever met. You really go the extra mile, is what you do. Because, I mean, look, I had 3,600 people on Good Morning La La Land, okay? There's very few people that went the extra mile in, like, you've referred me to other podcasts, you've referred me for different things. Like, there's not a lot of people, when you think about it, like that actually they will go the extra mile. They're really just kind of doing it for their own thing. And so for me, a confident person is not only they know who they are, but they know who they are so much in their oneness that they actually care about making a difference in the world. And that is
And
the
helping
ultimate,
others and
yeah.
encouraging and helping others succeed. That's what confident people do. They don't compete with you. No one's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hang out with competitive people. Competitive people, no, because again, I always say when you compete, you lose. So, for example, people are like, well, how is that possible? If I'm in like a sports competition, still the same principle applies. I am not there in that sports competition going, I can't wait to beat Erin. She's going down. She's going to suck it later. Like all that kind of competition. I'm just there to be number one. I'm just there to win. My uh, my self-worth in that moment is not coming from your
Right.
failure. There's a difference in that
So
vibration of
true.
me just being number one. So when
So
you
true.
compete, you lose. So again, just because I'm a woman in the same space you are too, other people, as you know, like thank you. I am a super connector. I was
You
probably a
are.
PR agent in a
Mm-hmm.
former life, but I want to help other people succeed too when I see greatness there as well. If you have a lack mentality, which confidence people don't, then you are going to be sort of like, well, but Erin might get more followers or she might get more popular. Like, who? No,
Yeah.
there's room for all of us. And so I do talk about quantum physics and law of attraction in here too about, listen, this is confidence people don't feel a lack of abundance, and that's why they
So
are
true.
helpful and encouraging of other people, and women need to do more of that. We got to get rid of this Beverly Hills
Mm-hmm.
Housewives kind of like catfight junk
Yeah.
that's going on all the time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
over it. Women need to be, and if you're not hanging out with pro women,
Yeah,
get out.
you need to get some new girlfriends. There's no girl. Well, we were running out of
That's
time,
right.
but I mean, this is so good. You can pick up the book, you guys. We're going to talk all about that. I tell them where they can get the book and where they can work
Well,
with
you
you.
can always go to Amazon and get either of my books, The Paleo Thyroid
Mm-hmm.
Solution or Confident as FU*K. You can just type in the real word FUCK, and then you can just go to lruss.com, and that has books and interviews and the podcast links, etc. And I'm on the Primal Blueprint podcast every Monday interviewing people, and then every
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday I have a episode Kick Ass Life podcast. YouTube video interviews as well, and you can go to kickasslifepodcast.com for all of those listening options. And there is a free thyroid guide on my website for people. You don't have to buy my book right away. You can just get some free information, what the tests are, how to find a doctor, all that stuff
Cool.
from going to lruss.com.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And if you guys are tuning in today for the very first time, I'm Dr. Erin. I'm a doctor of divinity. I teach New Thought movement, which is metaphysics, and we train and develop women and men around the globe to take their online spirit soul-based business online. We develop spiritual coaches and certify people in spiritual coaches as well. I'm the CEO of Soul Society and TV host here as well. And you can come every day, Monday through Friday. We do a live. I do a live. I'm doing everything from interviewing conscious entrepreneurs to specialists and experts in the realm of making your life better. I also do lives of just me teaching all different distinctions of transformations and stuff. So we do have a free community. It's Soul Society Inner Circle, and you can find it in my bio across here as well. We have so many free gifts. You can get my free book and free guided meditations, 40 guided meditations that come with that, and a digital masterclass. But I also want to end today. I want to do a little quick prayer with you, Elle. But before, I just want to answer one question because I'm trying to get into some Q&As. And somebody wrote in and said, I watched your video on how to be a better conversationalist. I have a question for you. When do you have more communication and listening, but the other party isn't? How do you deal with this? She basically, I don't want to get into too many details because I don't want to disclose this person, but basically she said she's a friend who she met through her husband's coworker. They become friends, but she has a really hard time. She finds that the other person doesn't talk a lot and she doesn't know how to deal with it. She's kind of frustrated. They go work out together, but they don't actually communicate a lot. And she goes, what do I do? This is really difficult. How do I, what do I ask her? And I think this is the advice that I give you out there is I would say that our greatest thing is accepting people exactly as they are. That the gap of suffering is really wanting people, places, things to be different than they are. So I think that it's not about trying to do something to make this person change in who they are and get them to talk more. It's really about accepting them exactly as they are and then following your bliss. And it might be with that person, it might be without that person, and it really is, this is a practice for all of us. And I know that, Elle is here with us as expert on confidence, and I just imagine if for Elle, what quick advice would you give to this person? How would you deal with somebody if they're not, they're
Same
with
thought
somebody?
as you, but here's the thing: you could accept that person as they are, but then you just don't like hanging out with them. So right, so you may not. But I would say when you have that scenario, you always ask people as many questions as you can. That usually will open someone up. They'll start talking about their life. It's not reciprocated, and that's not a fun thing. You stop hanging out, or again, you just accept that gym buddy relationship as it is.
Yeah, totally,
right?
totally.
So yeah, but I find that when you're in awkward scenarios at parties or gatherings and things are kind of stale conversation and it's like water cooler type of talk, like the weather and all that kind of junk, just start to get into the person a little bit more, be an interviewer and just start to ask people about
Totally.
themselves without any need to feel that you need to talk at all.
Yeah, there's a conversation about being interested versus interesting, and it's a balance, a tennis match. But let's do a little prayer. We're over time. Taking a deep breath into the nose. And just exhaling out. I just recognize the confidence, the true source of confidence is within. I recognize right here and right now that everything, our only job is to get out of the way of that confidence, releasing all limited beliefs, releasing all need to be validated, releasing looking to the world for anything of the truth of who we are, our identity. I recognize right here, right now, the truth of who Elle is, this amazing, extraordinary, incredible woman in my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, universe, for connecting us. May she touch and inspire so many, multiple more millions of lives through her work, through who she is. I just say yes to all of us today. May the confidence be the truth of who we are. And I just know this, I write this, I speak this, we live this, as together we say, and so it is. Amazing, Russ. I love you so much. Have a beautiful day, you guys, and may you live the truth. Okay.
Oh, there.
Okay.
Oh,